All right, it's 5. We'll go ahead and get going. So my name is Phil McMullen. I'm director of the program. In the room around you are the program manager for it, Yvonne Wu, professor and faculty director, Professor Aline Deutsch, and then 3 of my other team members. There's Kristen, who's our operations person, Stacy, who is a program manager for some of our other programs, Kieko, who is our finance person, and then just joining us now is the other faculty director, Dr. Ilke Astintas. So we're here to answer questions. So please feel free to let us know what's on your mind, what things would help you make a decision about whether it's the right program.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start. I was kind of curious. I know I looked at the schedule, the agenda online. I was curious to know how, I guess, rigorous is the coursework outside of the class, the actual in-class work. Like how many hours do you think I should be expecting to be putting in during the week outside of work?
Well, I guess one of the questions would be, can you tell us a little bit about your background? So the answer to that question kind of depends on how much of a stretch the coursework will be for you. So yeah, maybe just a little bit about what your background is, and then that might help us answer the question.
Sure, yeah. I've been in software engineering for probably 12, 13 years now. So just progressively getting more work. I do primarily Java-based software development on web-based UIs and backends, Mongo database stuff right now. So, I mean, I just basically, but I work full-time, and so that's my background. I do have a Bachelor of Science, but it's in it's actually information systems, and so that's my concern was like, okay, with the degree, like, will I be able to apply? And then, you know, with my experience, I think that, you know, it is suitable, but I just don't know what, like, how stringent the you know, acceptance requirements are.
Okay, so I'll let the faculty give their opinion on the time commitment, and then I'll give my opinion. So either of you want to jump in on what you think probably the time commitment might be outside of class?
There was an additional question at the end of your question, namely about just acceptance itself. And let me point out here that the 3 main backgrounds areas that we're looking for in our admissions questionnaire, which, by the way, you will find completely detailed in the slide set we have on the website, they cover programming. And of course, if you've been working as a software engineer or working with Java, you have completely aced that part. They cover database technology exposure, SQL, but even if you didn't do that, given that you have MongoDB experience, that would also completely cover it. And then there's the third area, which has to do with the mathematical, algorithmic, and tool foundations of analytics and machine learning. We typically look for strength in 2 out of the 3, so even if you didn't do anything in that latter area, you would be the ideal candidate. And because of that, I would expect actually that the work in your case will be minimized, because many of your colleagues, first of all of your colleagues work full-time and have worked full-time throughout the 6 generations that we've had so far. So you should not worry that this isn't feasible. But in addition, many of them have to do some serious catching up when it comes to tools and just programming discipline and debugging their code and all of that, which for you will be a joke. So I suspect that you'll be among the ones who will be able to dedicate more time to the more interesting parts of the project, where you can do more in-depth analysis. I would not worry about the time commitment.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Have you had any exposure to Python?
Yeah, actually, writing quite a few Python scripts right now with data migration. Prior to our, yeah, we every time we release a new schema for the database, I know that Mongo is not necessarily schema based, but we have a schema, and so we write Python scripts to migrate data every time we upgrade schemas. So that's primarily what I've been doing in the past month, actually. So, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with most scripting languages. It's just, it just takes time, to learn, new things. But I'm fairly comfortable with those.
Yeah, none of those new things are truly new for somebody like you. If you're comfortable with Java, then you'll be just as comfortable with Python.
Okay.
Have you had a significant exposure in probabilities and statistics? If not, then this is where I suspect your effort will go. But again, this is very limited given that all the tools are not strangers to you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't done much in there. And that's partly just because I haven't been exposed, but definitely interested. So.
Good to hear.
What else is on your mind? Did you have other questions, Lucas?
Oh, well, I know that the latest enrollment date was April 30th, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So has that changed?
So what the April 30th application deadline basically it's what's the word we're using? Help me, team.
Early consideration
Early
review.
Thank you. It's like drawing a mental blank. So
okay.
what that means is those applications that are submitted by that date, we sort of a subcommittee, admissions committee will look at them, and we will give feedback to individuals whether or not we think they match the profile of what would be a typical student in the program, or give feedback to say that chances are somebody is lacking in areas and probably would be less likely. We do that because some people are applying to more than one program, and those programs have different deadlines. And so some people want to get an idea of, do I theoretically have a shot with this program or not? Because if I get accepted to another one, then, maybe I will go to that one. So we will give feedback as to whether or not we think you're sort of, those individuals look like the profile of a typical student in the program. The actual hard deadline is June 30th. And so that's when the full admissions committee will look at all the applications that have come in and then make the decisions about what, how they want to seat the class. A typical class is about 36 students. So it's a nice size that you really get to know your classmates. You get a lot of interaction time with the faculty and the TAs. So it's a really, really good size.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good size. And so I'm curious then, with the COVID, pandemic potentially lasting until, late summer, do you have any expectation that they might be doing online courses as a backup, or will you guys, are you expecting to be doing, all of the coursework on campus?
Good question. We all have. All of UCSD has gone remote for this quarter. And so and the summer is going to be remote, but we don't have, there are no DSE classes over the summer. So what the current word is from the school is that at this point they haven't made a decision, but the assumption is if people, because as you can imagine, UCSD has lots of international students from all over the world. They're trying to decide, do I come? Can I get there? Whatever. The assumption is that if you live in San Diego or you're in San Diego, then you need to be in classes in class. But there may need to be the need for the classes to also be remote in case students can't get back here, that sort of thing. So right now our assumption is hopefully that we can be in person back on campus in the fall. But we are prepared to be online if that is the commandment of the school that they're remote. So that's what we're doing now, and we have classes every other Friday and Saturday, and we've adapted and we're moving forward in that mode.
Let me add to that. You were asking between two possibilities, on-campus instruction and online courses. When we say online, it's not the online you'll find in other programs where you basically do the course on your own asynchronously. This means that we're actually going to be teaching in real time. And you are, in principle, there, but through Zoom. That means you have the ability to interrupt the teaching and ask questions. And we're always inviting that and hoping that our classes become discussion forums. In addition, we have already been doing this from the beginning of the program in order to accommodate the flexible schedule that full-time employees need. We always record the entire class session, and then you can go through it at leisure another time. But you will have the FaceTime, the Zoom FaceTime with an instructor and with your colleagues should worst come to worst.
And we are users of the breakout feature of Zoom. So often during the class, to break things up, the faculty will send students out in smaller groups to work on a breakout project and then come back into the large room. But all that's real time during the day.
Okay. Okay.
Other questions that you might have? Right now you're our only prospective student, so you got our full attention.
Wow.
You are welcome to go first or go last.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess the other questions I have, I'm not sure if you would have an answer or not, but I mean, cost base, do you know anything about the costs involved? I did see some prices online regarding tuition. I just wasn't sure. I couldn't quite understand how the costs were broken down. But is it just like a general, like, I just trying to understand, is it the same type of cost that normal, like per credit hour type? Is that how that breaks down, or do you know?
Well, there is, technically, yes, you could break it down per credit. So the cost for the DSE program for incoming in the fall, I think is, I'm going to say 41,000, I think. So that is all inclusive. What's unique about our program is that that cost is all inclusive. That is your tuition, that's your books, that's your software, that's your parking on campus. We provide breakfast and lunch on class days so that you can focus on being a student. So that 41 is all inclusive. There are any additional costs for the program. If you look at other programs, typically you're going to see the tuition cost, but then you need to add books and software and parking, and it can add up fairly quickly. Would you possibly get partial reimbursement from your company for education?
Yes, yes. My company does pay partial. I'm still unsure the exact amount, but yeah, they do help some for like per year.
Okay, so typically so UCSD's standard process is the tuition for each quarter is due, we'll say 3 weeks before that quarter starts, in full for that quarter. UCSD separately does have something called TRIP, in which you can break that payment into 3 payments. A quarter, I mean, 1/3 is due before the quarter starts, and the other 2 payments during the quarter. That's all UCSD sort of separate from us. We are unique in that we do offer some payment plans for students who get reimbursements from their companies. And so typically that reimbursement from a company is in a calendar year. this program is 2 years, but that goes over 3 calendar years. So we can help spread those payments out over 3 years so that the person can apply for funding over 3 years. So that's an option if you get further in this that we could talk to you more about. And there's different ones depending on how much reimbursement somebody gets from their company.
Okay, great. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
But the unique thing about is that the cost is all inclusive. There are no surprises.
Okay, good to know. And so just regarding the actual coursework, I didn't get a really good look at all of the different courses, but like, I guess, what kind of work would you expect, or what kind of, I guess I'm trying to understand, like, with the actual degree program, like, what is it? Could you possibly give a better description or your own?
Let me show you this, and then perhaps the faculty can talk to it. I'm sharing a screen that lays out the courses.
Mm-hmm.
See that screen?
Yes.
So perhaps the faculty might just talk a little bit, sort of an overview of the coursework for the program.
Happily, I would like to point out that the very first one is our colleague Hilka's specialty. She will be teaching it most likely. She has been teaching it to vast numbers of students as a MOOC as well. So I'm going to let her tell you about it, and then I'm happy to jump in for other courses that are closer to my area.
So if you know Python, this should be a pretty easy course for you because this is a leveling course for programming. So it sets the ground or foundation for the rest of the data science courses coming up. So although we use a number of different programming languages based on the instructor's preference or the class, whatever makes sense, most of the courses are taught in Python. And knowledge of Python is the general competence required in the program. And this class gives you both an introduction to the data science process. So as you take more deeper dive into these courses, you will have examples of it. And also the, packages in Python that relate to data science work. And it's compared to somebody who doesn't have any background in Python or programming, which some of the students indeed don't. From what I heard of your background, this would be a relatively straightforward course for you.
Okay, great.
The next one you see there, DSE 290, actually extends throughout the entire duration of the program, and it is constituted of a series of lectures that we offer the students, typically from invited speakers from industry around here who have relevant real life case studies of data analytics. And they will talk to you about their particular one, and then there will be time allotted for discussion and for having lunch with that particular person. And usually they also advertise the fact that their company is recruiting, and you get to network basically this way. If you look then at the winter quarter in the first year, the data management systems course introduces the fundamentals of relational databases, designing schemas, manipulating the data in the SQL, pretty deep mastery of SQL, optimization of queries, what to do when the optimizer doesn't give you the performance you want. So this goes pretty deep in that direction. And then it's complemented by the DSE 210 course, which the title says it all, although the operative words are really probability and statistics. this is laying the mathematical foundations for the analytic tasks you will be programming, but just to keep it all grounded in reality, the homeworks come in the form of Python implemented tasks. And then, of course, we have in Spring machine learning, which again is one of the foundational areas of expertise for this course, teaching you all the important machine learning techniques for classifying and identifying outliers and everything you need to know in order to extract information from large data sets. And DSE 230 puts all of these skills together, where basically you implement projects in massively parallel style using Hadoop programming, Spark programming, but the projects, of course, have to do only with what we've been discussing so far. Then in the second year, you are exposed to the difficulties of collecting data from multiple sources and integrating it. And ETL stands for extract, transform, load, which is an important art really to master. As well as then DSE 250, which goes beyond that in-depth look at SQL we had in DSE 201. Here we look at all the fashionable relational model, post-relational models. MongoDB is featured, for example. In general, we try to not make this a laundry list where we just talk about this system and that system and that. There are 50 plus different systems out there. We try to reduce everything to the common principles, and we will talk in general about JSON databases, and yes, MongoDB will be featured there, but not just MongoDB. And we talk about XML databases, and we talk about object-oriented databases, and a lot about graph databases, all of which are the kind of database that modern data science applications encounter nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah, then of course we have to give you an insight into how you visualize your data. That happens in winter of the second year. And then you see there these data science capstone projects. These are led again by Ilkay. I'll let her tell you about it. But at that point, you're really putting together everything you have learned. She'll tell you how.
Okay. Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and if I could overview the capstone, it is a real life data set with a project associated to it that the students get to work on it for 3 to 6 months or 2 quarters. And these are group projects of 3 to 5 students, supervised or advised by a faculty member. So I'm the faculty on file, coordinating the projects and making sure projects are comparable and they're offered to students at the right time. And there is some grading structure to the project. But the rest of it is pretty much a free flow of, where the students and the faculty members want to take it. And yesterday, I don't know if you got a chance to watch yesterday's, but I sort of overviewed the existing projects. One of them is on their different tracks, so to say, in terms of application areas. Some relate to the science area, some relate to societal problems like traffic and housing and things like that. And some relate to more both business and industrial IoT type of applications, health of instruments or smart buildings or prediction of, recommendations or prices or inventory for certain business applications and e-commerce type of applications. So there are all kinds of projects that way, and they are generally the crown of the studies that helps you apply what you learned in the program and more. And it's expected that these projects will have something from everything you learn in the program. So that's how we designed it, and that's how we execute it as well.
And one of the characteristics of the program is that we can't make you a domain expert. We can't make you a real estate expert in this program or whatever. But there is, and part of that data visualization, it is about how do you talk about this to non-data science people so that you can communicate this information to others so in a way that they can understand. And often the individuals will invite their managers to come to their capstone presentation to actually see what they've accomplished over this time.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds very interesting. So I appreciate that explanation. Very good.
We have a couple more minutes. Any other burning questions that you might have that we can answer while you're here?
No, I think you've answered all of my questions.
Well, great. Hopefully we've helped convince you that this is potentially a good match. We would look forward to seeing your application. Yvonne and I are around as you're going through that process. If you have questions, issues, feel free to reach out to Yvonne or I. When you fill out the application, you're going to find 6 additional questions that you need to answer. I would spend a fair amount of time on those. We're looking more than a sentence that says, yes, I've done this. We're looking in those questions, a paragraph that you talk about what you've done and, if possible, show some examples of where you've actually used that skill set in accomplishing a project or completing something.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you for joining this evening, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you. And my name's, by the way, I put my name was Lucas on there, and yeah, I just if you see me again, it'll be Dustin.
Okay, thanks, Dustin. By the way,
All
we
right.
recorded this. Do you have any concern if we were to put this on our website for other people to watch? Do you have any concern?
No. If that helps other people, then that's fine with me.
Well, a lot of the questions you ask other people are going to have that same question. So yes.
I'm sure they will. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
Dustin.
you. Bye.